Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle. This is Kyle's Trail Miles, where I talk about all things running and ultra running. It is March 19th right now, and I'm going to give you a quick recap of, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 weeks. I can't remember when I did my last recap. I've been traveling for work a lot, and just things have been happening. I'll get into that. And so just want to do a quick sort of broad-based recap. I'm not going to go through each workout. And then just something that I changed in my early year training, like even late last year when I was in the treadmill in the deep of winter, and I feel like it's really paying dividends right now, and what my plan is as I kind of lead into spring. So with that, let's jump right in. So I am going to share my screen here really quick. So it has been a great last 2 months. Over the course, before, like last year, I was swinging along doing my 70 kilometers per week pretty consistently. I think I got up to like 10 or whatever there. And then over Christmas, had some just life things come up, as always seems to happen over Christmas. And then, yeah, just ran into a few weeks where I just couldn't make it happen. So back on board, early February, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row now, I've hit my 70 kilometers. I've even gone above that a little bit, and I've been putting in some nice elevation as well. 914 kilometers the week, or 914 meters last week, 1306 the week before, 1300 the week before that, which I'll kind of get into this a little bit as well. So that's kind of what my sort of workout has looked like. There's kind of my training calendar, and here's the situation. So if you look at my training calendar here, basically these 3 days I had a reasonably unexpected work commitment. I had to leave town for those 3 days, and as I've said in previous videos, like I'm not a go down to the hotel treadmill person. Like when I travel for work, usually I'm really busy. You got stuff to do all day, and then I sort of catching up on things in the evening, but it's not me. I'm just not that guy. And so if it's nice out, I'll run outside. And on this second trip, I had to go somewhere these 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then this trip here, I was just gone for 2 days, but it was pretty juggernaut style. And just no time for any of that. So every other day I had some good workouts. And what sort of happened just by sheer circumstance, because everything kind of got compressed to the weekend, I was able to put some really good back-to-back weekends together. In fact, almost every weekend I was doing back-to-back long runs. Then this past week, I did a pretty good long run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a lot of them were outside. There was, I think, in this month, just the one weekend where I was limited to the treadmill, which was great. So, so it's been good. I've also got in quite a bit of weight training. We're still doing that Epic 3 series. We're grinding through that, the Carolyn Gervine, and it's been crazy, but I don't know, I'm here to tell you, the body adapts, and I'm gonna talk about that here right now. So yeah, I'll flip off of this. So all right, so basically what happened was, we're coming into February, and I'm kind of planning, planning my deal, and I didn't plan to go out of town for those days, but that was okay. So my plan was, okay, get outside when you can, but I really want to grind through these Carolyn workouts. So my plan is get through this Epic 3 series, and then when that's done, I can just focus on getting outside and running. But what happens every year is the weather breaks. We get a few nice days running outside, and I'm all in on that, which I have been. I've got again some good elevation. But the one thing that has changed, though, the one thing that has sort of changed is, normally I have to be sort of careful with my sleep schedule, because I'm the type of person that I can sort of just go to sleep like any time. I don't have problems falling asleep or any of that stuff. What I do have, though, is if I get to a point where I oversleep, I'll wake up at 4 in the morning and I'm like wide awake. And so I just have to be like a little bit careful that I don't go to bed too early too often. And the challenge I run into is every night at about 9 o'clock. Should be 9 o'clock. It's probably a little bit later than that. My daughter, who's 8, I take her to bed and I kind of just lay with her until she falls asleep. It's kind of, just sort of our time to chill. And usually I use that time to just kind of think about my day, my work, exercise, whatever. Just sort of mentally kind of unpack the day or whatever, make some plans. And I would say like I don't know, maybe every third night I kind of just fall asleep with her, and then I'll wake up a few hours later and I'm like, oh, okay, so go to bed. And so I just got to be careful I don't do that like too often. If I do that back to back, then I'm up at 4 a.m. So just I bring this up for a reason. So I've been so busy this month, and another thing that changed, or something that changed this month, which is interesting, is I have kind of a side business that I run, which is really a hobby that I just sort of turned into a side business years ago. And it takes about, like on the weekend, it takes about maybe like 4 hours on the weekend where I got to just sort of jam in a bunch of just sort of time. So I either do that late Friday night after everyone goes to bed, or Saturday I'll kind of stay up later, or I'll get up early and I'll do it before kind of my family gets up. And that works really well. And then throughout the week, maybe 15, 20 minutes, a few nights kind of thing. So it's just in front of the computer. It's pretty straightforward. So anyways, this time of year, it really, like for March, it really just kind of ramps down. There's just not much going on. It's just a weird thing with the business. And so things really ramp back up in April, and then they sort of get progressively more ramped up as the year goes on, if you will. So usually I just kind of like, just sort of like keep it going in this time of year. But this year, what I decided to do is basically like shut it down for March. And I mean, not like completely, but like we're talking like pretty much. So it's almost taken me like zero time, like maybe a half hour a week I put into this. And so because I've been running so much, hitting my 70 every week, getting elevation in, which for anyone who doesn't do elevation, I mean, that ramps things up a lot. Plus getting in workouts, and like basically if you look at these weekends, almost every single weekend day, I'm doing a 45-minute workout with my wife. Then I'm going for a long run, sometimes 2 runs, depending on how I feel. And then the next day I'm doing it all over again. Plus I've worked out Friday, So I think the one thing that is weird, just throwing it out here is weird, is for the last probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks, man, I have been sleeping like I've never slept in my life. Basically, almost every night I go to bed, I lay there with my daughter and I fall asleep, and like that's it for me for the night. And then I get up at 6:45, and almost every night I'm like just plowing through. And then last weekend, because normally I either have to stay up late on the weekends or get up early one weekend morning, so to deal with stuff. So because I haven't had that this past weekend, I went to bed early. I can't remember what night it was. I think it was Friday. I went to bed early at like 9, same time, probably like 9 o'clock, and I fell asleep. And I woke up, in my regular time, like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see like how much I can sleep. Like I got nothing to do. This is like a very rare time where I have nothing to do. So I'm just going to see how long I can sleep for. And I slept, and we're talking that like morning, like deep, awesome, dreamy, like great sleep that you remember from back in like high school days. I slept till like 11:30 that day. I mean, my wife was like, wow, what is going on? Like I felt so great after waking up from that sleep. And then the next night, like I went right to like, I've been just sleeping so good. And I don't know exactly why, but man, I feel great. Like when I go out for these runs, like if I look at this week, for example, okay, so I was traveling Tuesday, Wednesday last week, got home. I think this was just a weight workout. Then these were 3 big workouts, 3 big days. This one was a pretty big day. I think I got like 700 meters of elevation. Then jumped right into Monday. I did a good run. Good elevation. And then last night was very unsustainable. I basically got home from work, spent some time with the kids. Then I did a hour and a half run with like 350 meters of elevation, 17K. Then as soon as I got home, I did a 45-minute weight workout with my wife, and then like basically went to bed. So obviously like that's not sustainable, but it's just a, yeah, I don't know. I just and the point of that story is I wake up today, Wednesday, and like I feel ready to rock. Like I could easily go, at least I feel like I could go run a marathon right now if I want to. Like no pain in my legs, like nothing. And I don't know what that's about. I don't exactly understand it, but man, I've been sleeping great. My training is going great. Last night's run was probably one of the best ones I've had in a while, just from a what do you call that? Perceived effort, I guess, if you will. So yeah, I don't know, but this is the thing. This is the whole overarching message here is one thing I changed this year on the treadmill was normally every year I just get on the treadmill, throw on a movie or some sports, and just go grind through my 10K or 12K, whatever I'm doing that day. But this year, what I did is I changed where every run, pretty much every run, I pick 1 or 2 kilometers at various times in the run, and I crank up the elevation to 12, as high as my treadmill will go, 5 miles per hour, and then I try to run the whole way. And when I first started it, which was back in December or whatever, man, I couldn't do the whole way up. I had to jump off a couple times, and then as I progressed, I could do it pretty easily. And then I got to the point where not only was I doing that with relative ease, but the last like 300 meters, I would crank it up to 6. And then the last 200 meters, 7. The last 100 meters, 8. Like I was really kind of hauling up this incline. And so, how does this translate? I don't know. That's my training that I'm doing. I just sort of the decision I made. So anyway, so now I get out on the roads, and here in Lethbridge where I live, we have some amazing, like just 12 to 15% grade, just like long inclines up our valley. And so I've just been like running those. And even when I first started at the beginning of this, sort of springtime when I was able to get outside, some of those, they'd be like a little bit of a challenge. And now, I don't know, I can just like, my body is just totally at ease. Not at ease. I mean, my heart rate does climb, but it's like my perceived effort is like very reasonable when I'm climbing up these hills. Last night when I was out, I was just cruising up these hills. I went up one and back down, up again, and then I went up this other one which has these crazy steep grades. And I don't know. So I did like 340 meters, and I think I held like a 540 something pace the whole 17K, and yeah, I just felt like really good. And so I attribute that to the training over the winter. Every single year that I have like some good progression, I can link it back to what I did in the winter almost every time. And so you just can't discount that training period over the winter, what people call the off season. If you wait until May to crank things up, like it's I don't know, it's almost too late a little bit. So anyways, so that was great. So the only other change that I've made this year, which time will tell, is normally how I set up my year is treadmill through the winter, and then as soon as I can get out in the springtime, I'm pretty much flat road running and trying to get in speed too. That's a big focus for me in the spring, because the idea is I can't really run in the hills too much in the spring because it's very muddy and the trails are muddy here. Any precipitation, then it lasts, you get the idea. So it's a lot of road running. And so I try to crank up my speed, focus on that, because the Calgary Marathon is at the end of May. And so, obviously I want to do well in the marathon. This year, I'm not looking to whatever. I'm just going to go run it and have fun in it. And I hope I do well. And I hope on the day I feel great. But it's definitely not any sort of A race for me. And I'm not sort of training for that. So what I've decided to do this year is substitute out that speed work. I mean, I'll still do like one every now and then. But I'm really focusing on elevation starting now. Usually I don't focus on elevation until after the Calgary Marathon, which is into the start of June. Then I can get out into the trails, and then I start focusing on elevation. But this year, my plan is elevation right off the drop. So as soon as I could get outside, let's start cranking in elevation. And so far, knock on wood, it's been awesome. I feel probably the best I've ever felt. And I feel my legs feel strong. I feel great running up the hills. Now, the one thing the sort of caveat I will say is it's like everything I'm doing at this point, unless I'm on the trails, which do happen from time to time depending on the weather, but it's like running up hills. Like I'm never like power hiking. I'm always running. Well, in a lot of ultra marathons, like in the 100-mile this year that we're going to do, we're not going to be running uphill. We're going to be power hiking. So I assume running up hills is going to translate to power hiking better. But it certainly can't be bad. So anyways, yeah, it's been a great March so far. It is the 19th, so we still got 2 more weeks. And then, yeah, and so my sort of goal moving forward is just to keep this up. I was hoping to get in some like 100-kilometer weeks, but that's going to be tricky only because I got to finish this Epic 3 series, and I really wanted to have it done by the end of March. I think we have like 14 workouts left. I was really hoping to have it done by the end of March. That's not going to happen, and so I can't push this until the end of April. I got to get this done. So yeah, so for the next few weeks, I'm just going to try to grind out my 70 if I can get a little bit more, and if the weather's nice, great. And then at the end of this month, again, things ramp up in other areas of my life, and so hopefully by then the Epic 3 series is coming to an end, and I can just focus on getting outside, and it's all just a big, plus now, springtime, my kids' baseball practices and daughter's dance, just things happening, right? So that's the fun part of life, is just, making all that work and fitting in running and yeah, all that good stuff. So anyways, there you have it. The Backyard Ultra is in 6 weeks. So the next 2 to 3 weeks are like the key training times for that. So yeah, I'm just going to keep trying to put in my 70 again. If the weather's nice, try to get in maybe a little bit more, keep driving that elevation, and hopefully all this pays off. So there you have it. Thanks everyone, and we will talk later.